Hey guys, welcome back to another Skyrim mods video. This one focusing more on PC and some of the new mods that I probably won't be removing anytime soon at least. So if you end up finding a mod you like, hit that like button down below. I'd greatly appreciate it for the algorithm. And endorse that mod author if you end up downloading it for more than 15 minutes. And let's dive right in. First up, a small but immersive mod by the name Catches Cook On Campfires. With this mod installed, any fishing and hunting camps around Skyrim, you will now see fishes cooking over the fires with new added items for them to hang on. And you can also interact with these, but because some are personally caught by the fishermen, it will be considered stealing, so be careful when you do that. And because this uses base object swapper, it's pretty much compatible with any mod added fishing camps or just anything in vanilla. You'll have no conflicts with this mod. Up next, another immersive mod I don't think it's talked about enough. This mod is called Take a Nap, Sleeping on Chairs by J Serpa. With this mod, instead of having to rent a room and then sleep in the room, you can now walk up to a chair if you have dynamic interaction. Then you can just click shift and then click sleep. Your character will sit in the chair and a new dynamic animations if you have that mod installed, and you will be allowed to sleep. The animation will be the same no matter where your character is sitting, so your arm may float in the air. And with this mod installed, you can only sleep for a maximum of 3 hours, and then after sleeping for 3 hours, your character will stand up. You usually stretch, but my character didn't do that. And then you'll also be hit with the debuff, so your back hurts now. There's also special dialogue lines you can hear from NPC.
We got warm beds, you know?
If you need a place to sleep, we keep a fine inn.
Feel free to sit and put your head down on the table for as long as you like. I won't bother you.
It's wonderful to be able to sleep soundly, don't you think?
And now on to another mod that kind of deals with fires like the previous mod. The mod is called Dynamic Torches. Using base object swapper, as you can tell by the title, you can now walk up to any torches by mod added or vanilla and interact with them with just simply pushing the interact key. Your character will take the torch from the wall, which can leave some interiors a lot darker than they were supposed to be. But the best part about this mod is that even if you take the torch from the wall, you can also interact with the wall again and put the torch back in place. And if you do take the torch from the wall, you'll just have a torch in your inventory now. An add-on for this mod that I highly recommend is dynamic candles. Blow them out and light again. And just like the title suggests, you will now be able to interact with pretty much all candles inside of Skyrim and turn them off. But you can also interact with them again and turn them back on. And based on base object swapper, it just pretty much replaces the item. And it also comes with multiple patches. So pretty much any candle mod that you have installed already has a patch made for it inside of this mod, so you can get the same meshes and textures when the candle is turned off. Honestly though, I highly doubt that you'd have any reason to really turn off any candles unless the interior is too bright. But for immersion reasons, it's good to have things interactable so that you can turn them on and off. And another part about this mod is inside of dungeons like Nordic temples, candles will initially be turned off because of course no one is left around to keep relighting them. But of course you can interact with them again and turn them back on. It's completely optional though. But another mod, just the final one to deal with turning off fires, we have another mod that lets you disable already lit fires called Put Out Those Fires, Dynamic Fire Control. Using a frost or if you have water spells added by a mod, you can walk up to any already pre-lit fire and pretty much turn it off with that frost spell. This also works for survival gameplays if you want to implement it for that reason, but if you want to relight the fire, all you have to do now is use the fire spell that pretty much everyone starts with unless you have a mod that turns it off. And the one thing that I did notice when turning off fires in Dragon's Reach is that there are multiple light sources added at least in the middle of it by JK Skyrim, so that might be why there's a lot of flickering. But at least now you can turn them off or turn them back on if you choose. Honestly, these immersive mods are more amazing for the fact that you finally have a choice. Up next, another immersive and brand new armor mod. This mod is called Ancient Imperial Armor by Fourth Unknown. And because it's by Fourth Unknown, you probably already know a lot about this armor. But as you can tell, this armor adds in a brand new heavy armor based on Ancient Imperial armors for both sexes. At the time of this release, there is no ACT physics. It comes as is, and you'll just have to walk around with it whether you like it or not. But by the time this releases, I assume an HDT patch will have been released, just like 99% of every other Fourth Unknown armors. And also, as of right now, it only has support for the basic bodies of vanilla bodies. There's no CBBE or 3BA bodies. Only vanilla bodies support this. You can also get two different armor types. One is the light armor, which you really won't tell the difference from, and one is very heavy. To complete the set, it was given a wonderfully crafted and textured shield, as well as a new weapon that fits the new aesthetic. Both are kind of Imperial in terms, so it is a short sword, but it still does a lot of damage on it. And when you first install this mod, the textures are in 4K, so if you have a problem with that, I highly recommend checking the optional files so you can downscale the textures to 2K resolution. And I know someone will ask, but the shields on back is from Immersive Equipment Display. This next mod I can honestly say 90% of modders on Skyrim were waiting for. This is a retexture for all common clothing in Skyrim, just called Common Clothing Retexture by Bio. Previously, Bio has retextures for nearly every vanilla armor and clothing in Skyrim. The only thing not retextured were the common clothing, worn by normal NPCs or maybe you if you have for some odd reason. But with this massive 3GB release and download, it has officially changed that, and I could say with this mod you might not need so many common clothing replacers now. The first mod that was redone for every NPC were the cloaks and the mage clothing that you would see around Winterhold, but now with every common clothing being replaced, it now blends much better with every other retexture Bio has released. I honestly believe that this is the last version of retextures that he needed to get out before he started to redo all his old ones, so I think that this was the final step before everything completes. Well, unless Bethesda for some odd reason decides to randomly start releasing a bunch of paid mods again. Hopefully they don't do that. And even though the main mod download is 3GB, you can download the much smaller size for 800MB and still get pretty much the same visuals, but a lot more FPS. And now for a new massive magic mod by someone I wasn't sure would make this type of mod. We have the mod Immersive Illusion Spells, adding tons of new spells that adds different effects to the game of Skyrim. Not just adding crowd controls to NPCs around Skyrim, but adding a lot of different combat and also mind control type ability. Some of them are pretty simple, like Brain Fog just lets you take the stamina from NPCs or the magic from NPCs, while Crawl will make NPCs move 25% slower. Delirium is definitely one of the fun ones. It literally makes every enemy disengage and start dancing as they move around, and it lasts for about 30 seconds. But then there's also stealth spells like Distraction that places a sound marker around the map wherever you placed it at. The enemies will walk towards, but it will make it easier for you to be discovered. And then you have mods like Insight, which is also a stealth skill that lets you view enemies' stats. Or maybe you just prefer a utility mod like Blink that lets you teleport short distances to locations that is currently in front of your character. Definitely more on the simple side, but if you want to go up a level, then we have the mod Masquerade, which basically lets you take on the appearance of enemies around you, or at least one that you end up aiming at. The rest of the skills is because I maxed out my sneak skill. My favorite spell from this mod pack though is Mind Control. It lets you take over NPCs under the level 25 for 30 seconds, and you can quite literally do anything with them from attacking to even just making them die. Mind Fracture though on the other hand is a little more complicated. It summons an illusion version of the NPC, but because it fractures their mind and because this is a master level spell, the illusion can actually hurt the NPC. And now for a much simpler mod, this mod is called slightly Better Bunting Festival Flags. This mod overhauls the ropes leading up to the circle ring and adding flags to them that animate based on the wind. Well, of course the animations do loop, it's not really based on SMP because that would destroy your FPS. But they are animated and that's what counts. And if you use Uriel mods, then this mod has a patch for it, and I highly recommend grabbing it along with the metal ring because it just fits better than a metal rope. This next mod taking a new spin on Skyrim by adding a new armor type, and this mod goes by the name Drake Knight Armor. This mod adds 2 different armor types to your game, all coming with 4K textures. No HDT as of right now because that will be a separate patch because this is made by Chakra SSE. The most basic form of the armor that you can craft if you don't grab the optional file will look exactly like this, but if you grab the one that adds the boss to the game, which also adds the skeletal remains to the altar, then you will get the glowing armor. And I'm not entirely sure if it is intentional, but the glowing variant of the armor that is actually harder to get than the one that is crafted is considered the fake version of it. So it kind of makes you wonder. But it also comes with 2 weapon types. Both types are swords, but one version is a forward sword, the basic version, and then you have a backhanded sword. To obtain this brand new armor, the fake variant at least, you have to fight the boss inside the newly added dungeon by the optional download. Otherwise, you'll just have to craft the armor. To reach the dungeon, you have to go to Sky Temple Ruins, interact with the remains, and you'll be pretty much teleported to a straightforward dungeon with only 2 rooms, and only this brand new enemy that is extremely hard to beat considering the armor and his stats are around ebony level. So it might be a little easy to get to this dungeon and fight the boss, but I doubt you'll be winning without preparing thoroughly. But that was pretty much it for today, guys. A pretty simple video considering my current circumstances. But if you did end up enjoying, make sure you hit that like button down below. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace and love, guys.